Time for the ride home in ENC. This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Hello, everybody, and welcome 90-minute edition of the Get You to the Weekend version of the Patrick Johnson Show. And we've got Pirate basketball tonight from Minges Coliseum at 7 o'clock. We'll have coverage starting, right now. TJ Long next segment. We'll talk with him, get a primer on tonight's East Carolina-Charleston Southern basketball game, a real contrast in styles. 6:30 tonight, Darren Vaught will take the airwaves on the ECU Sports Network, and then play-by-play coverage tonight. Dom Kasolki is in the studio, if I'm not mistaken, tonight. Pilk, do I have that right?
You do?
Have I read about this? Have I heard about this? Dom Kasolki.
That's what the company email says.
There you go.
I think we're going to lose.
Come on, Dom. Let's have some faith. I know it's hard. I know it's hard right now, Dom, but have some faith. Dom Kasolki will be in the air chair tonight from the studio anchoring the scoreboard. All right, and Chris Hughes, Carolina Preps, preview of the third round. 4 Pitt County teams are still alive and kicking. So we will handicap their chances tonight to advance to next week in the fourth round and practice it on Thanksgiving. Nothing better in high school football than having that Thanksgiving morning practice. And then Garrett Wingate, the doctor. Garrett Wingate will be with us, Aiden Grifton coach. They're one of the 4 teams, and they will play tonight in Duplin County. All right, so a packed and stacked edition before we get going. Of course, all eyes tomorrow will be on San Antonio for Pirate Nation. We'll get into that in some detail coming up here in just a little bit in our top 5. But also, we've got coverage beginning tomorrow at 12 noon on 94.3 The Game with our Pirate Game Day Countdown as East Carolina prepares to take on UTSA. Join Philip the Ref Pilkington and Joseph A. Football, Joe Sampson, as they will be bringing you coverage. Dom will also be there as well. But coverage tomorrow at noon, and it'll be the fastest 2.5 hours in radio as they'll get all the previews and all the action to get you ready for what is a big weekend around the American. And a big weekend for ECU coming off that great win against Memphis last weekend. All right, Pilk, anything that I omitted in adding as far as the 94.3 The Game universe goes?
No, I think you hit it all on the head. The question I have for you is Garrett Wingate actually a doctor?
He is.
Oh, like a doctor of play calling. I can believe that. Did they give out doctorates and play calling? That guy, offensive coordinator, his time at Rose, man, I could see it. They had some darn good offenses when that guy was calling plays.
The good doctor, Dr. Garrett Wingate, coming up later on in this 90-minute edition. All right, let's do the top 5.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Number one. It's going to be a fun-filled weekend in Pirate Athletics. It all starts tonight when the basketball team hosts Charleston Southern. That'll be at 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock inside Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum. And the football team on the road tomorrow taking on the Roadrunners. They haven't lost a home conference game since 2019, and Coach Blake Harrell spoke earlier this week about why they have such a great home environment.
I'm definitely not going to say anything John Summerall said in the media, so we'll keep it that way. No, I just think that, they've done a great job at home and creating an atmosphere there, and you're in a dome, so that's a little bit different than maybe outdoors doing some things, and they've done a pretty good job. And Coach Taylor's a heck of a coach, and I think the 25-0 actually goes back to even Conference USA, but definitely 23 or 22-0 in the American. So it's pretty special, regardless of what it is that makes that makes it happen there. They definitely made it happen.
All right, Coach Harrell, great sense of humor. I think. I do think, Pilk, tomorrow, this is not UTSA will have to be consistent on offense. They'll get their explosion plays. I think, can you limit those? Sure, that helps. Can ECU engineer some of those themselves offensively? Absolutely. But the offense has not been consistent. The Pirate defense right now seems to be all over the field. It's a team with a lot of belief. I think East Carolina will win tomorrow. I do think it'll be tight, but I see the Pirates winning tomorrow in San Antonio and keeping hope alive, baby, for a chance. Now, obviously, some things have to happen. We'll get into that coming up a little later on in this segment to start the show. But, man, look, I think you can really springboard off of last week. It wasn't like you were played, poorly and lucked into a win last week. You went toe-to-toe with a team that, let's face it, 2 weeks ago everybody was talking about was going to be in the college football playoff. Basketball, from that standpoint, it's going to be close tonight. That's just all I'm going to say. I think it stands the chance to be close. Charleston Southern, man for man, maybe doesn't have the talent ECU does on the roster. But you know what? I don't know. I just,
PJ,
the way they play offense concerns me, and the way we've played defense. And I understand there's some, sort of mitigating circumstances with that, but we're not great in the half court defensively right now. ECU's not. And Charleston Southern does what you need to do. They get shots up on the rim. They're making a lot of them. But if you give yourself a chance, to get a rebound 50-50 if you get a shot up on the rim.
Yeah, it's a good point. Patrick, when we go back, and I'm not trying to totally compare this to the NCAA tournament, but when you look at all those great NCAA tournament upsets, what do they all have in common? The team who was the lesser team really shot the three ball well. Yeah. You go back to the UMBC game specifically against Virginia, and what does Charleston Southern do? We're going to talk to TJ Long about it more. Shoot the three ball really well. Some interesting stats coming up with TJ later. So, TJ's always got those fun facts. So stand by for those because a lot of them have to do with this Charleston Southern team.
They are a volume and percentage three-point shooting team, and Elizabeth City State made 9 threes. What did they almost do a week ago yesterday?
Shocked the world.
Correct. All right, next.
Number 2.
Number 2, it's already been a great start to the weekend in Pirate Athletics. That's Pirate Club Athletics. The hockey team last night, 3-2 winners against Georgia Tech on the outdoor game play in Charlotte, and here was the final call.
Handed off along the wall for Howe. Top of the circle, Hill look in front. First shot stopped and the rebound cleaned up. ECU will move it back out. At the blue line, advanced for Ben Sylvester. Top of the right circle, takes the shot and scores. ECU comes from behind and wins it 3-2.
How about that crowd pop?
I know. That? There was a decent amount of folks in attendance.
How cool was that? That was great. We're going to get some guys on. I don't think we'll be able to do it next week, but the week after that, we're going to get some guys on. Is that what the plan is?
Yeah, I was texting with their coach this morning about it. So
awesome. Well, we'll do it. Happy to get them on. That's a cool thing. And then they're going to play, obviously, some games in the new year, so we'll let you know that. That's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting that they got a boy. And if we can, we might be able to get somebody on next week. But let's not shut the door on that yet.
Okay.
Let's figure it out. We got a few things to kind of figure out for Monday with our schedule. We will be at Tiebreakers. We were thinking we would not. We'd be a studio show, but we will be at Tiebreakers. It looks like, which is great. I love being out at Tiebreakers.
I do. We can tell the folks what it is. Our guy Jim Zoki's got Monday Night Football to call, and that might be what throws a little kink in our schedule. The Panthers got a primetime game, baby.
We could talk to somebody from the hockey on Monday if they want to come by Tiebreakers.
Ooh, I like that.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Try to set that up, Pilk. Let me know how that works out.
Sounds good.
All right. Very good.
3.
Do a little producing, Pilk. Be the producer of the show. Do a little producing.
Okay. Hey, I've got a fun graphic coming up with TJ Long. Just going to throw that out there. There's a little producing been done.
For the video audience.
Just, hey, if you're listening to your car, you might go home and and see what I'm talking about here. Anyways, so they are running the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend. The F1 is, and F1 fans from Europe always complain about there's 3 races in the United States. No other country gets 3 races, and sure enough, they had to keep halting practice yesterday because the manhole covers kept coming up, and they couldn't even get practice in the way they were supposed to because of the streets of Vegas.
Why did the manhole? Was there something going on underground? Clearly, there was.
I don't know if it's from the flooding that was there last weekend.
Because of the rain? And
Yeah.
the amount of maybe drainage under.
Maybe.
Could be. There was people complaining. Jake Keeter, who used to write for The Reflector, was complaining on social this week. Imagine that. Somebody complaining on social media. Because it was, I guess ESPN was highlighting all of the stars that were going to this in Vegas. I mean, this is why they have these events in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Miami and Vegas in particular, because you can get celebs from both coasts to go to these events. They couldn't tell you what kind of car it is, who's driving, none of that. None of it.
They might, man. That's a rich people sport. I mean, you don't have the common folk going to a lot of F1 races.
But you watch it.
A little bit.
Folk.
A little bit, yeah.
Who do you like this weekend? Give me a winner. Give me a winner, Pilk.
I'm going to go Lando Norris.
All right. That's a good one to go with.
4.
Number 4, UTEP is under investigation from the FBI that they have been using drug cartel money to fund their revenue sharing. And they still can't win.
No, they still can't win. So the allegation is that UTEP, which is in El Paso, right there on the Mexican border. I mean, it's like you could see Mexico from the city, has been using dirty money, drug money, to fund NIL and rev share and all that. You think they'd be loaded if that were the case.
I know. You think they'd be up there with
what is
Indiana.
the benefit of the drug cartel to spend that money? I understand the benefit to launder it. This is very intriguing. I need to learn a little bit more about this. This is kind of interesting.
My only thing is, does it have to do too? Are they rigging games? Are they saying, "Hey, we're going to give you more to drop this pass, and we're betting on it"? I don't know. I mean, hey,
that's a good point.
That's all I got. And I'm not saying that I've got any information that makes me think that's what it is. I'm just off the dome. You asked a question. It's the best answer I got.
You're speculating.
Yeah.
Okay.
5.
Number 5. It's that time in the show. PJ's not happy about it as he sent me the graphic of the horrendous college football this week because the SEC decided to take a bye week, and you got teams playing Charlotte and Samford and a bunch of other schools you've never heard of. But, PJ, what are you looking most forward to in college football this week, other than, of course, the Pirates?
Well, because there's actually something on the line there. Let's see here. Now, what I sent you, in fairness, was the ESPN, the Worldwide Leader slate of games.
True.
Because it was a paid partnership thing, an ad, but it laid out just how hideous this is. I mean, when the best kind of, I don't know what the Big Ten matchup is. I'm sure they stink too, but
15 USC at 7 Oregon could be just USC's chance to get back in the playoff conversation.
Well, that's interesting because it's USC's chance to get back in the playoff conversation. Yes, that's true. And it's a chance to get Oregon perhaps bounced from the playoff conversation. So one thing could happen there, or it's maybe a chance for Oregon to solidify their appearance here. Missouri and Oklahoma is the same thing. Less so Missouri getting back into the conversation of the playoff, but maybe playing spoiler to Oklahoma is the big happening there. So that could very well happen. There's nothing else that I'm seeing on this slate that makes me say, I can't wait to watch this weekend on any of the Worldwide Leader platforms. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on what Tulane does at Temple. Hopefully the good version of Temple will play. And then North Texas at Rice. Come on, Rice.
Go Owls,
Let's
baby.
Show a little.
Everywhere around, go Owls.
Go Owls in every case. Obviously, I think Duke Carolina is interesting tomorrow in Chapel Hill. I think the rain, at least the last forecast I saw, the rain should be out of there by the time that game goes. Duke is not playing well on defense right now. Offensively, they seem to be playing pretty well, although they do have some issues there from time to time. But defensively, they're not playing well at all. The Tar Heels are coming off that loss and coming off of Bill Belichick spending time the Sunday after a loss to an in-state rival, cheering on Air Jordan and an adult cheering thing, which I just saw a video for that. It is as weird as we think it is. That whole thing of adult cheer, competitive cheer, very bizarre. Nothing more than the Dukies would like to get the victory bell, but also eliminate Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels from bowl contention.
Oh, it'd be wonderful. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either. Although Duke's favored last I saw. And then also, after that game, tomorrow night, Cal and Stanford. Classic ACC matchup there.
Do you know what happened 43 years ago yesterday, Patrick?
It was the deal with the Stanford band.
Pants on the field!
Right. Hey, I'm intrigued. I'll watch it. There's nothing else going on. I had something else here for the NFL slate. Do we have time for this, Bill?
Yeah, quick.
Okay. Bucks Rams Sunday night.
Yep.
Give me that one. Colts Chiefs intrigues me for a lot of reasons. Bears Steelers for similar reasons.
Bears Steelers. It's going to be boring, but it has impact on both conferences. Love it.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's going to be an interesting deal there. And I'll say this. I'm not saying Cowboys Eagles. Couldn't care less.
Neither
You're
can
not going to make me think it's a big game because it's really not. Eagles are going to roll. All right, we're going to come back and talk Pirate basketball. We're leading you into that tonight, 90-minute edition of the Patrick Johnson Show on this Friday. It's East Carolina hosting Charleston Southern, and we'll host TJ Long right after this.
Back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We got a jam-packed show, so let's get started.
Deep breath. Here we go.
Today, it's a 90-minute edition of the show as we lead you in to Pirate basketball coverage. Darren Vaught at 6:30 will take the airwaves on 94.3 The Game and on the ECU Sports Network to get you ready for ECU and Charleston Southern tonight. Let's bring in TJ Long. The last time the Pirates made the NCAA tournament, TJ Long was on that roster. He's a champion, boys and girls, and his daughter's a state champion as well. So there you go. The championship lineage continues in the Long household. The great TJ Long, we twisted his arm to get him on. We love to talk Pirates and just anything with TJ, who I'm hoping has a TJ Long-Nito fun stat, but we'll see. No pressure. TJ, welcome. Welcome. Hey, how about before we talk hoops, we like the positive. Okay. It's the feel-good edition on the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. How about that Pirate football win last week and the fashion in which it was won?
Yeah, that was a great win. That harkened back to some of my early days at ECU, kind of coming off the Peach Bowl win with the crowd, the electricity, and what the students did there in the boneyard to get everybody going. That was a fun. That's as much fun as I've had at a football game in a while.
Pretty good stuff. What a way to finish it up. And then tomorrow it is ECU and UTSA. We'll have our coverage and all of that and remind you of all that a little bit later on in the show. All right, let's, TJ, to the flip side of the coin. Let's talk some Pirate basketball right now. and I'm going to say this. TJ cares as much about this basketball program as anybody, but he also has done tremendous things to get ECU basketball alumni, not just the guys that he played with that made the NCAAs, but all guys involved in just having some kind of connection to the program. So, I mean, that is yeoman's work that you do there, TJ. I know you've put a lot of time into it, and it's not easy. I'm just looking at my boards for tonight, and here's the big thing that stands out to me. 3-point makes. East Carolina 18, Charleston Southern 77. Now, they've played 2 more games in ECU, but still, I don't think that would have made so much of a difference. And then Bryson Blaine is a guy to watch tonight. He's got 9 more makes from 3 himself than the entire Pirate team. So
that stands out for sure.
Yeah, so it's a clash of styles tonight. A team in Charleston that wants to get up and down the floor and shoot threes and does. They're not only a volume 3-point shooting team, they're a pretty good percentage at close to 39%. Against an ECU team shooting 21% from three, but is predicated on the inside game. So how do you see the matchup?
Yeah, exactly like you say, it's a contrast of styles. The other point of that, you talk about as a team, they're shooting at around 37, 38, 39%, but they have four guys that are shooting over 40%. And so, and I think, Coach Schwartz talked about it in his last interview about getting better on their perimeter defense and their 3-point defense to combat that. So I know that's something that's been addressed in practice the last couple of days, and I'm sure they have worked on that quite a bit to try to contain that, because you normally don't see, to have a 40-point, someone who shoots the three at 40%, and to have four of them, and they got one kid who's shooting 50%. So when I was looking at that, I was like, well, he must be 1 for 2. Well, no, he's 10 for 20. And so that causes some a little bit of concern for me. So we need to get out there and make sure that have our toes on the 3-point line and try to push them off the 3-point line for sure.
Yeah, the other thing that sort of stands out, and I mean, again, I understand Wilmington's really good. And I also understand that Uwe, the artist formerly known as Uwe Pui, IU Indianapolis, is not Wilmington, and they were playing in the Buck Dome there in Charleston. But Charleston Southern scored 61 in the first half of their game on Tuesday. East Carolina managed 60 for the entire night. So, I mean, I say all this to say, regardless of how this winds up tonight, these guys from Charleston Southern are used to kind of playing at an accelerated pace. And to me, ECU's had a lot of problems defensively keeping the opposing team from getting the ball in the spots they want to get it into to score. And so, I mean, that's got to kind of change tonight. That kid you mentioned who was 10 of 20 is Luke Williams. He's their point guard. He's been hurt. He's back tonight. And it was nothing more than a broken nose that needed to be reset. So, I mean, he's still been able to get his cardio in. And so
that's right. It hasn't affected his vision.
No. So, I mean, he's coming back tonight, had his first contact the other night, and we'll see how he goes with everything. But, I mean, this is a team that has some scoring talent on it. And I think that is going to be something that ECU's got to be keenly aware of tonight. I mean, they're 100th in the nation right now in scoring, and that's out of 300, whatever it is, 60 teams. Conversely, East Carolina is 264 in scoring. So, I mean, you got to figure out a way tonight to force them into shots they're not comfortable taking, but also they're not afraid to just get the ball up on the rim and go after it. They actually rebound pretty well, too. So, I mean, this is a really tough matchup tonight as I see it. I mean, I feel it's going to be close to me tonight.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to play well to win tonight. But, on the flip side of that, too, when I was looking at their offensive stats and seeing all the, how well they shoot the basketball, their record, they're 3-3. And so if there's, I think for the Pirates, this is going to be a good team to watch, an exciting team to come into Minges and watch. But I think it's also a team that we can, with our size, Coach talked about having to find some type of identity for our team.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly it. We're looking for our identity. They know what their identity is, and early on in the season, that plays in your favor. And when you bring in new players and that, they have to kind of find the pieces that fit together and decide what they want to be. Do we want to try to play faster? Do we want to try to grind it out? And I think we're still kind of looking for that at this point in the season. But in general, normally Coach Schwartz, as his teams come in, we get new players. He normally builds through the season, and you do see improvement in our players and our play as the season goes on. So I think that's something that we can look for and be hopeful for.
TJ Long joining us here as we get you set for ECU and Charleston Southern at 7 tonight. Corey Calker, I think we're going to see him more in a role of a true point tonight. At least that's the game plan going in. I think they want him to be more of a table setter than maybe a catch-and-shoot guy, and that may make him more comfortable. There have been flashes. I think there's some ability there. I think he and Mbing have shown some ability to, be pretty competent at the point position, but they, I think on the balance, they have not played very well, particularly Calker. So if they're putting the ball in Calker's hands, that tells me they're making an effort tonight, Mike Schwartz and his staff are, to try to get him comfortable, but also try to get him going in some way, and that might be the best way they feel like right now to get him going. So, your thoughts on Calker's play thus far, and I mean, is that something that might get a kind of a scoring mentality point guard going, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, honestly, I'm sure everybody has seen the stats. He hasn't shot the ball well, and when you don't shoot the ball well, it's really hard to do everything else. I mean, that's what the game is about. He plays really good defense. He's quick. He does cause some problems for people bringing the ball up the floor and getting in their sets and that. But he just, he started off the season not shooting the three well. And so, yeah, you do things. You try to make some adjustments there to get him some looks, put the ball in his hand, take a little pressure off of him, and maybe catch the ball and look for it off of a reversal or off of, we go in and a ball is shot and gets kicked out to him where he can step into the shot. And he just needs to see a couple go through the net. That's all. And I think he'll be fine going forward.
It's interesting. Jordan Riley is averaging just a shade under 20. Had 19 points on the road the other night in a place it's not easy to get points. Gio is, like Riley, kind of there close to a double-double. Riley's also adding in 3 scores. I almost feel like if Jordan Riley, or if it were anybody else putting up those kind of numbers, we might be man, what an impact he's had. Yet, you and I have talked about it a little bit. Brian Mull kind of said it here. I mean, maybe he's got to blossom into this, but Riley being the guy that has the impact on the game that makes kind of everybody else better around him, or he kind of straps them on and says, hey, guys, climb on my back. We're going to go to the winner's circle here. I think he has the ability to do it, but and I'm not saying he's not getting like junky points and stats, in blowouts necessarily, but like the old Rex Chapman for the Hornets back in the day. But, I don't know. Riley, the numbers are there. I guess we're looking for him to have a little more of an impact. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate, really. I mean, it's what we're really saying is he's kind of quietly scoring almost 20 points a game and then 5 or 6 rebounds a game. And I think some of that maybe even speaks to just his normal personality or whatever. He's not a real rah-rah guy, but yet, he can leap out of the gym, gets dunks and backdoor cuts. And then the other night when we were really struggling, there was a few times where he got the ball and basically took his guy one-on-one and was knocking down some 10, 12, 15-foot shots. And, he needs to emerge as that guy and continue that emergence, for us to be successful, in my opinion. Also, Jay Woodard being banged up and not playing, he's kind of our Swiss Army knife. He can guard out there on the perimeter. He slashes. He gets steals. He gets up and down in transition. And I think we're missing his play. After watching him last year, he finished the year really strong last year, And so, I was expecting him to add, and am still expecting him to add several more points to what he averaged last year. But he had I don't know whether it's a knee or an ankle. I've heard a couple of different things, maybe both. I don't know. But
right.
He's a guy I think that can bring us along and really help us. We just need him to get healthy.
Yeah, I don't think he's likely tonight. That was sort of the word yesterday. Now, a lot maybe has changed in the 24 hours plus since that was told to me, and we'll find out here a little bit from the arena what's going on. But obviously, no Jay Shane is a big impact, and that's also defensively. His length alone does so much. So I do think that there are some issues there that brings. All right, TJ, any super neato fun facts that you've been able to ascertain here for us going into the matchup tonight? I love the TJ Long neato fun facts.
Well, just off the top of my head, I would say that hopefully we can get a win over the first lady of Florida, Casey DeSantis' alma mater. How about that?
Wow. How
just off the top of my head, without Googling anything on Charleston Southern.
That's a pretty good one. Casey DeSantis' alma mater.
There you go.
Very good. I like that, TJ. I like that. Let's see here. All right, give me a prediction tonight, TJ. Predict me a winner tonight. Predict me a football winner tomorrow for the Pirates. Go.
Oh, let's see. I will go with we are going to get a win tonight.
Okay.
We're going to guard on the 3-point line. 85-77.
Okay. I'll take it.
We'll take that, right?
Oh, heck yeah. All day.
And let's see. Tomorrow we will break their UTSA's conference home win streak by beating them 35-28.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. They play really well at home. This is, just like tonight, we need to be real focused on this game and don't let the name of who we're playing. Charleston Southern typically, historically, hasn't been a powerhouse, but I really like what their coach is doing down there. And obviously at UTSA, they are a much different team at home than they are on the road. I would feel a lot better if we could get them here in Dowdy Ficklin with I guess they're calling them the Tarps Off crowd or whatever in the Boneyard. That would be better. But we're going to have to go. We're going to have to go and play well for sure.
There's some people that have gone on a charter trip down to San Antonio, Pirate Club and all that. We don't need anybody in that crowd doing Tarps Off.
Not for them.
No, they're not the 20-year-old college guys. It's a far different body structure. So, yeah, we don't need old man floppiness. We don't need it.
Hey, that's extra juice you need on the road, baby.
No, it's not juice. It's dried powder, certainly, I think, at this point in many cases. All right, let's hit a break. TJ, thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Enjoyed it. Always good catching up and talking to you.
The great TJ Long. All right, when we come back, we are in the third round of the high school football playoffs. So coming up tonight, we got 4 Pitt County teams playing. We'll give you the odds on what they're going to do. Carolina Preps guru Chris Hughes will join us. Also still to come, Garrett Wingate, the coach of the Aiden Griffin Chargers. We'll talk to him about his team strategy. All of that still ahead here on the PJ Show.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
I listen on my Apple Watch.
Smart speaker.
Listen while you work.
I listen everywhere.
The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
So tonight you got a bunch of high school football teams playing for the privilege of practicing on Thanksgiving. It's a huge deal. Really big deal. And so we're going to talk about that and more. Some of the local teams. Our great friend from Carolina Preps is Chris Hughes. Looking good on that high-dollar 8K camera there in Kannapolis, Mr. Hughes. CarolinaPreps.com. Chris is one of the coolest guys I know, Pilk, and he was in Texas last week. He saw a heck of a football game, South Carolina and Texas A&M, and he's got some connections from when those guys, a lot of those guys on the staff were in Durham at Duke. But then you went to a high school football game in Texas. Tell me about what that experience was like. I'm sure you've been before, but just tell me what that experience was like for you.
Well, Patrick, thanks for having me on. And you're right, I've been to Texas. In fact, I coached a year of football in Texas back in my old military days. I've been very familiar with Texas high school football, but never to a game at Ratliff Stadium. And if that doesn't jog your memory, that is the stadium, home of Odessa Permian, the movie Friday Night Lights. The book came out in 1988. And to go there, stadium seats about 20,000 people. It was a first-round playoff game, so it wasn't a very prestigious matchup. In fact, Permian won 59-7. But the game, the atmosphere, just everything, the hoopla, the pageantry, it was as good as anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And that was for a 1 versus something matchup that wasn't very good.
I don't think you can explain it, can you, Texas high school football? I mean, you have to kind of experience it, right?
It's just different. They care. And, they don't. Yeah. In fact, I was invited up into the VIP suite sitting with the superintendent, school board presidents, a lot of people. They saw me, and somehow or the other, somebody recognized me. And next thing you know, I'm out there on the field. I'm talking to the coach. I'm taking a selfie on the field at the coin toss. I mean, I had no idea that I was going to be going into such an event where I would get this access. I was expecting to pay my $15 for a ticket and sit in the stands and be happy about it. Next thing you know, I'm sitting up there talking to the superintendent. And, she told me they allow academics to thrive off of athletics. They don't bicker about paying coaches large exorbitant amounts of money. She said the more they invest in their football, the more return they get in their academics. And I wish more people in North Carolina would follow that same mindset.
That's we need to actually do a segment about the amount of coaches, really good coaches. I mean, you just talk about in the East that have left North Carolina to go to South Carolina, or in some cases Georgia, but mainly South Carolina, because it's South frickin' Carolina pays their coaches so much better. South Carolina. Let me shout that again. We're not talking. Anyway, it's.
Hey, that's what happened, and Chris knows this just as well as anybody. My high school coach, my senior year, that's what happened. I was 1 year after I was there, or after I graduated, he left and went to South Carolina for a huge pay raise. Yeah. Huge.
Everybody generally, they'll get their 30 in or whatever, and then they'll go down to South Carolina and coach, or they'll just leave midstream.
Yes. I'll say this about South Carolina, and I will not put the name out there of the principal that told me this, but I asked the principal one time, how do y'all build such big-time programs there in South Carolina? And he says, we don't let something like education get in the way of building a good football program.
Well, but here's what they do, and it kind of goes back to there's a return on investment.
Absolutely.
The ROI is pretty. You get people excited to go to your stadium on Friday night, and 10, 15, whatever it is, a ticket. I also think there's some prohibitive things through the Athletic Association with, how they price things out or suggest you price. It's amazing. We probably had one of the top, as I understood it, Chris, athletic associations, governing bodies in North Carolina. That was one of the top governing bodies nationally in maybe the 80s and 90s, and it hadn't progressed too much then. Everybody else has blown by us. And again, it's because of the governing body who has banked untold millions of dollars in an endowment fund. Anyway, I don't want to get, well, what do I have to lose? So the great Chris Hughes, Carolina Preps. This does not diminish the excitement that is third-round playoff football tonight. We've got 4 teams in Pitt County still alive, and maybe not the 4 you would have thought. Aiden Grifton, North Pitt, Farmville Central, and D.H. Conley. I'm not comparing Clayton to a Texas high school football setting by any stretch of the imagination. But Clayton is one of the rare cases, particularly in the eastern part of the state, perhaps central part of the state, where the community buy-in is there. People that don't have kids go to the games. It's a source of pride for the town. And that's what Conley's stepping into tonight. I saw this Clayton team on the final day of the regular season. They put it into the Cleveland win streak. I think that night they had the best players on the field in several positions. I think Scott Chadwick's a hell of a coach. And Conley, as great as that story has been, they are stepping into a hornet's nest tonight.
They are. And you're right. I mean, Clayton has always had a good program. But over the last 5 years, when Coach Scott Chadwick arrived, and you can see the very upward progression of that program. The fan support's incredible. That's an event on Friday nights there in Clayton. And yes, the Raleigh area, and I know it's in Johnston County, but, Raleigh has pretty much swallowed that Clayton area whole, and it might as well just be an extension or a suburb of Raleigh. But it's still small enough a community to where Friday nights matter. And, the high school stadium sits right there on Fayetteville Street, right there in the middle of downtown. People know that it's going on. They see the bright Friday night lights. People just go to the games. It's a great atmosphere, great program. Scott Chadwick's got well over 200 wins. He's won state championships in Maryland. He's coached in Georgia. Did a great job at Myers Park. So he knows what he's doing. That's a really good program. Played a tough schedule. They kind of took a couple lumps earlier in the year. But I think that this is going to be a heck of a matchup for Coach Connor and all the guys, D.H. Conley. But I do think it's a winnable football game. I don't think that they're going in and it's any type of a David versus Goliath setting. I think that it could potentially be a really good game tonight.
The winner of this will likely be playing the winner of the Cleveland game in the opposite part of that 7A bracket. So, either way, if it's Conley at Cleveland, if that plays out, or even Clayton at Cleveland, for the first time in a long time, just as a fan, I may go to a game, because especially if it's Clayton Cleveland, because I think that's you talk about rivalry. Wow. But hey, you got to play first, so that's Conley at Clayton tonight. I want to talk about the other Pitt County schools. We're going to hear from Garrett Wingate coming up in a little bit. He is taking over for Paul Cornwell and Aiden Grifton. They are going to a very tough environment tonight in James Keenan. It's kind of like James Keenan's turn in Duplin County to have the great football team, and they do. 10-win team tonight for AG. Aiden Grifton played a hell of a schedule, too. They really played a tough schedule at that level, so I don't think they're going to go in intimidated, but they're going to have to play really, really well tonight to win on the road.
Yeah, they are. Keenan is an incredible football team, and I was trying to pull up some stats here to look at some of the guys that they've gotten. They are as good a running game as you'll find at James Keenan. Coach Tim Grady does a great job. He does a great job mixing up the backfield with a couple different running backs. And a lot of his guys don't have eye-popping stats because they've been up 49-0 at halftime in a lot of these games this year. So a lot of his best players really don't have the carries and the numbers and things like that. And there could be a downside to that. Keenan really hasn't been in a game in a while. So, could those guys be rusty and not used to playing a full quarter schedule and have to play and fight and grind out a win at the end? And if so, I think that could bode well for Aiden Grifton. Looking at it, apples to apples, I think Keenan is definitely a better team. But Aiden Grifton, I like these guys. They've got a lot of fight. Coach Wingate slid right in there to the to the main chair when Coach Cornwell, moved up to the county offices, and that's still a very well fine-oiled machine, and they do things right down there in Ayden, and I think it's got potential to be a good ball game. I don't think I would sleep on the Chargers tonight.
No, and they've shown some explosive ability. I mean, they jumped out really big in the first half of their game at Whiteville and were able to hang on. So we'll talk to Garrett Wingate coming up in just a little bit. All right, Farmville Central, another great story. They got hot at the end of the season. That is carried over. Short trip for them to Williamston tonight to take on Martin County.
That's going to be a tough battle, but you know what? I am through counting out Coach Ron Cook and that team at Farmville Central. I remember back to the first week of summer workouts. I was doing my rounds throughout North Carolina, and I spent about 2 or 3 days in eastern North Carolina. And it's funny, that same day, hot morning, I think it was like late July, I was at Ayden Grifton, Farmville Central, and D.H. Conley all the same morning. I was at Rose. About the only school I didn't hit up in the county that day, I think, was North Pitt. But I remember sitting down with Coach Cook and looking at his guys, and he does not have the benefit of a very deep roster. He doesn't have just lots and lots of kids. He doesn't have a lot of depth, but the kids he's got was really dialed in and working hard throughout the workouts and getting ready for the season. But the one thing he said that kind of stood out to him was this was probably the most cerebral team, the smartest roster that he had. He was more gleeful and focused on the fact that the kids he had were very high achievers academic. He said they picked up the system well. He just said that it was a great bunch of kids to coach. And I think that's showing, as the season's kind of progressing and getting into the nitty-gritty time, the potential of practicing on a Thanksgiving week. There's nothing better than that. Martin County, that's going to be an uphill battle. They have done a tremendous job. Coach John Wheeler, once he moved into that role, they had kind of been through a roller coaster of a lot of different coaches in the last couple of years in their transition from Williamston to Martin County.
Yeah.
But I think they have finally gotten things in play. I visited with them this year. They have got about 3 different guys that are going to be playing on Saturday roster. So it's a very talented lineup for the Gators, and that's going to be a tough game. But again, like I said, I think I'm through betting against this Farmville Central team because, as they've shown, they can get it done when the rubber meets the road.
I think you will join me and our friend and colleague Diamond Dave Richmond in that the people in Martin County, let's name it Harold Robinson Stadium. Come on. I don't know what the political holdup is. I don't care what the political holdup is. That should have been done before Harold's passing, but do it now. Do the right thing, Martin County.
I agree, whole 100%. Now, here's the deal, and this may be the holdup, is that I do know that they are working on the construction of a brand new high school and facilities and everything on the outside of town that I think should kick off if they can get all the things straight within the county commission and, the finances and things like that. I think that they're going to be building a brand new high school. And then if that's the case, then yes, the new stadium, without a doubt, name it after Harold Robinson, name the road it's on, something. But there's something with that facility, the athletic department, the stadium that needs to honor him because he gave practically his whole life to that community, and no better fitting way to honor him than to name that stadium after him. So lots and lots and lots of kids from years on down remember the guy that made that happen for them.
Chris, there are certain high schools. You say a name, or you say the high school, and the name that comes to mind are certain people. And that's Williamston and Harold Robinson, or in Martin County, Harold Robinson. All right. The great Chris Hughes, Carolina Preps. I got one more Pitt County game I want to ask you about. North Pitt, they have to take the gazillion-mile trip to 10-1 Central Davidson. Look, C.J. Wilson doesn't have to be doing this. And he has done a fantastic job at a place with limited resource. And to have them in the third round of the playoffs, credit to C.J. Good guy. Happy that he's gotten them this far.
Yes, and you mentioned limited resources. I mean, there's no question that all you got to do is go look at the facilities, the stadium, the school, everything that they have, or should we say don't have at North Pitt, shows that, they're a small rural school. Yes, they're on the outskirts of a major city in eastern North Carolina, but they just don't have some of the same facilities that some of the other schools have. But they've got kids that buy into what Coach Wilson is teaching them, and I feel like that they're a very unique, very bonded, together kind of team, and it shows. And he's got two different running backs that I think could score on any play, on any spot on the field at any given time. So, the one thing that they are not lacking is talent. But they do not have a lick of tradition. And I hate to put it that way, but it's true. In fact, Brian North had sent me a message yesterday, and we were looking it up. I was looking through the archives on Carolina Preps just to make sure that I was right about something. They have not made it to the third round of the playoffs since 1987. In fact, have only done it one time in their history. And that just goes to show, a lot of schools will back into a state championship appearance or a regional final appearance over a course of a 60, 70-year history, but they just don't have that tradition. They've had a couple good years and a couple good runs at times, but I think what you're seeing right now is the best of the best that we've ever seen from North Pitt, and I hope that those guys can take it all in and enjoy this run, because I think that they've got something special brewing, and I hope that they really appreciate what Coach Wilson is doing. Now, on the flip side, Central Davidson, they're a machine. They run a very unique wing T offense. It's very hard to play. It might as well be football in a phone booth. They've got two fullbacks, or they got a fullback and two running backs, literally within about 3 feet, 5 feet from the quarterback, all right behind center. They grind you in tight. It's very hard to find the ball, a lot of misdirection, just a lot of craziness in their offensive concept. They got a great coach in John McIntosh, who used to be at West Forsyth. So that's a really unique offense, an athletic bunch of kids, and they've got a lot from speed to size, kind of country in a lot of ways. They come from a little community called Sheets Bottoms, right there off the banks of the Yadkin River, and it's going to be a good game. I think that it could be a back and forth. In fact, I'm still about this close from going to that game tonight, so if I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. And say hi to CJ. Go and talk to him. You'd love that dude. I mean, obviously won a Super Bowl, so you'd love that dude. So if you go to that, let me know. The great Chris Hughes with us here from Carolina Preps. Hey, I want to ask you a couple of things. We'll get to some of the other games in a minute. But this week, and this is maybe a little insider, but in the Greenville community, a lot of people know Steve Brooks. Still lives in Greenville. Steve's a good friend of yours, good friend of mine. He coached at CB Aycock, which was a terrible job, and actually did a really good job there. Offensive coordinator at Jacksonville a few years ago. He was on the Aiden staff last year, and was on ECU staff as a grad assistant 2 years ago. But anyway, he was the Laney coach. Got the job really over the summer. It was kind of a tough last-minute assignment, but he went in. Steve's got his philosophies on offense. Probably a tough offense to really get it cranked up. It takes some time to learn it. And then, at a certain point this year, they were really rolling with their offensive numbers, made the playoffs and all that. He decided to step down this week. So, I don't much care about 8A football in Wilmington. But I'll just say this. It's interesting to me, Steve is out there and he'd be a heck of an addition as a head coach, but I mean, even if you had him calling plays for your staff, that's a pretty good deal there. I mean, Steve's a good offensive mind.
He definitely is, and he has proven that over a lot of different places he's been. Offense wasn't the reason they got beat in Laney. He was hired literally about a week before the first practice of the year, so it's not like he had a summer to implement his system with the people at Laney. I think that was just a tough situation to go into. There was a couple coaches on staff at Laney that also applied for that head job, so I think that there could have been, he just didn't go into a very good situation to where, he was received well from a assistant coaching standpoint, because they wanted the job too. And you know what? I get that. That's part of it. But he had very little time to prepare. They played an extremely tough schedule. and they did get better. And, it just didn't work out. I know he's got his boys, he's got his family in Greenville, and he was commuting. That was a tough situation to go back and forth. I do think that he is an incredible play caller, though. You mentioned Jacksonville. 2 years ago, he was part of the staff on that really good run at Aiden Grifton with Coach Cornwell. He's got a really good body of work and a good notebook to work with, and he will find the job. I mean, he's too good a teacher in the classroom as well as just a coach and a valuable member of any coaching staff. Whether he's a head coach again or not, I don't know. But I know that there's some coaches that would be willing to pick him up just because he's a great coach and does very good things with young men.
Good quarterback coach, too. All right, Chris, give me, and you don't have to give me a ton, but just, maybe a handful of other games of note tonight to kind of keep an eye on across the state or, the East or the state, however you want to do it. The ball's yours.
Sure. You mentioned Cleveland. They've got a tough game with Southeast Raleigh. That was a big game a couple weeks ago. That could set the stage for a really good 7A matchup next week between, I think, Clayton and Cleveland. So, that's one to look at. Havelock or Croatan. Croatan's having the best year they've ever had, ever. What a great program, great story that is. Happy for those guys down there in Newport and Carteret County. But they go back against a Havelock team that they just narrowly beat earlier in the year. I think that was a 14-7 ball game. Now, fast forward about 7-8 weeks, Havelock's a completely different team. So I think that's going to be a much different game. Cape Fear down there in the Fayetteville region, they go to Garner. That's a big one. Southwest Edgecombe at East Dukeland. Jack Britt from Fayetteville going up to Grimsley. There's a lot of one. You mentioned Port City, Hoggard, Rollsville's going down there. So, there is a lot of really good games. And, oh, by the way, let's not forget about our guys in the 1A ranks. I think there's going to be a Donnybrook of a game up there in Northampton County. Wilson Prep, even with their 5-5 record, I think they're 6-5 now through the playoffs, hosting or going to Kip Pride, who I think is undefeated or 9-1. And that's a game that I think Wilson Prep wins in the 1A. I think that they're probably going to be on a collision course with Robbinsville or maybe Northside. I'm not going to count out Northside either. But that 1A, I always want to give those guys some love. They're way down there in the classification size, but, football means a lot to them too.
No, it does. And there is a game in Greenville tonight. They've chosen a neutral site location for the 8-man where my alma mater, Parrott, is taking on Cary Christian, I believe, tonight at JP2. And I've got a lot of problems with some stuff going on at APA personally, but I know Matt Beeman very well, and Matt's done a hell of a job there. I mean, they actually play a national kind of schedule now, and they're looking to go 13-0, which would be a first. So that should be a fun one tonight.
He won his 100th game as a coach a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So
sure did.
Good job. Coach Beeman's a great guy, and that's a great program.
Yeah, they've done a lot with that. They've put a lot of emphasis and resource and money in it, and the guys have responded. All right, Chris, good stuff. We'll be off next Friday, so maybe the first Friday in December. Let's pencil in a date, and we'll talk then. Obviously, we're getting down to the nitty gritty at that point. Regional final weekend, and we'll get you back on for that. How does that sound?
You got it, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Awesome to have you. The great Chris Hughes with us here. All right, let's get a little further insight into what Aiden Grifton's got going on tonight. A tough road trip for them. And we're going to talk to the head coach of the Chargers, Dr. Garrett Wingate, when we come back on the expanded edition on this Friday of the Patrick Johnson Show.
We're back to the show.
I missed you. We all missed you. Did you miss them?
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Football Friday edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. It's also the Get You to the Weekend edition. Playoffs. We got teams in Pitt County still playing, including Aiden Grifton, an 8-win season. And always great to catch up with the coach of the Chargers, the one, the only, Doctor in the house. That's right, Dr. Garrett Wingate. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, man. Just getting ready for this game and trying to make sure the boys are ready to play, too.
Well, great of you to join us here as you get ready to head to James Keenan, and they've had an absolutely fantastic season. When you look back at your year, you had a good beginning, and You had a little bit of a kind of stump your toe. Tarborough's always tough. Farmville. But you have finished strong coming out of the regular season. What is it that your team has done really well here through the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, I think playing Tarboro is what it is, and then going out and doing what we did. We dropped 2 at the end, so we dropped 1 to Tarboro, and I think we let that Tarboro loss kind of affect us when we played Farmville last game of the year. And I think it was one of those things where you can't let 1 loss become 2, and we did. And I think the blessing is, if we had beaten Farmville, we probably would have had a first-round bye, and then we would have had to come out the second round and play somebody without getting, that loss under our. But the good thing is we got to play, and we played a South and North team, and we kind of got to shake that loss off of us, and I think that gave us momentum. So it's just about getting back to who we are, not trying to play the competition, but really just be who we are and do what we do.
And then you win in an exciting game, kind of nail biter, epic finish at Whiteville, which is not an easy place to go and win on the road.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in that I was unaware of until after the game.
Yeah.
I think Aiden Grifton had lost to Whiteville in 1987 in the Eastern Finals.
Mm-hmm.
And Aiden Grifton had never beaten Whiteville, and that was to go to the state championship, and Aiden Grifton lost there. And so I was like, I didn't know about that one until after the game was over. But I tell you what, we were up 27-7 at halftime, and we never took it for granted. We knew we played the game like it was 0-0, but my goodness, we just could not stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And you give Whiteville any momentum, they're going to take every inch of it. And that's what happened, and we had to prepare for the comeback. I think I lost about 9 years of my life. Oh, my goodness. Murphy's Law went into full effect in that third quarter, but the kids found a way to win. They found a way to win. So even though I called Coach Hudson this weekend at the ECU game, he said, yeah, you lost 9, but when you win, you only lose 8.5. So I guess I got it back.
You had a couple of kind of key turnovers. You stop them on a drive, if I recall, the third quarter, but then you get an interception with a couple minutes left in the game, clinging to that lead. So your guys on defense really came up big for you.
Absolutely. That was Nigel Morgan. There was 3 minutes left to go in the game. And Nigel was fighting the cold all week. So I guess it was like the Michael Jordan flu game for him. He's out there playing as hard as he can. Whiteville runs down the field, getting ready to go take this go-ahead touchdown to take the lead. And 3rd and 10, and they throw the ball, and Nigel picks it off in the end zone. And then we get the ball on the 20. And we take some time off the clock. We're running the ball, trying to get that clock down as much as possible. And then it's 3rd and 11. And we're like, well, Nigel, we need you one more time. We throw a fade down the sideline to get the first down. And that, for the most part, seals us the game. So, Nigel just had an amazing night, had a kickoff return for a touchdown, 2 interceptions, 60 yards receiving, just did it all.
He played well. Who are some other kids that have played well for you in this playoff run in all season?
Yeah, well, most of our kids who are really good play both ways. We have a lot of two-way players.
Sure.
Offensive line is George Medina. He's playing both ways on offensive line and defensive line, and he's really doing a great job. We've mixed around with EJ, who's our star running back. We put him at slot receiver a little bit, trying to just take the hits off of him. And he's taking a lot of hits throughout the year. And we have Loyalty Fuller, who was playing that slot receiver. So we're mixing them up in the backfield, just trying to reduce the hits. But they're both playmakers, so we're trying to give them the ball in space and just finding different ways to do the same things that we already do. Just trying to reduce the hits and the wear and tear because they're playing defense, they're playing offense. And at this time of year, everybody's good. It's about who's the healthiest and who can just survive.
How about John Fields and his play for you at quarterback?
Well, I tell everybody that John Fields was a defensive end for the past 2 years, and nobody believes him. He was a starting defensive end, and he was always our backup quarterback, but he just wasn't there yet. And, he's been in the system for 2 years, and I'll tell you the biggest thing is this summer he bought in, and he just started throwing and go through practice, and I think he trusted the process. I have this run of 1 year quarterbacks.
Right.
It's just what I have. I mean, I get a quarterback for 1 year, and that's what I got. So I've just learned how to teach him in the summer. Okay, this is what we got to do. This is how you do it. And he just bought in, and he has worked hard at it. And I tell you, the biggest thing is that he understands what I'm thinking before I even have to tell him. And that's the biggest key. So once a kid understands what I'm thinking, they understand this and they can take off with it. And he has done a tremendous job.
That's awesome. We're talking Aiden Grifton, Chargers football. Chargers play tonight against James Keenan, and almost called him James Madison. Against James Keenan. Well,
possibly said James Madison, but it might as well be, man. They got a quarterback, number 11. He might as well be Johnny Manziel. They got a running back in the backfield. He's Ashton Genty, and they got another kid who can just beat you down the field. They have some very good players. They got a very big offensive line. I think the equalizer is that I think a lot of their star players play both ways just like ours. So I think that might be an equalizer. But, they're going to mix it up on offense. They're going to run some double wing stuff just like a Southern Nash would.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to go out and spread 11 personnel with a tight end and a running back and try to spread it out a little bit, get that quarterback in space. And then on defense, they're going to play it tight, and they're not going to get beat deep. So they're going to try to keep everything underneath and rally to the ball. But they got speed. They got size. They're a good football team. They're always a good football team. They're well coached, and their community's behind them. And we know we're going into another hornet's nest. But we hope that last week at Whiteville gets us prepared for tonight.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for you guys. Coach Garrett Wingate of the AG Chargers on the line with us here as they get ready for James Keenan tonight. I mean, Princeton, now this maybe wasn't vintage Princeton this year, but still it's Princeton on the road at their place, never easy there. You get the rivalry factor with North Pitt, and they've just gotten better as the years gone on. You go to Conley, and Conley's, like yourself, still playing. Kinston, another playoff team that's still playing. Green Central had a tough loss in the playoffs. So, I mean, and then you mentioned Tarboro and Farmville. Farmville's on quite a run right now. So, I mean, this has been and you kind of have an idea, year to year. But, some years, for example, Princeton maybe not the Princeton of recent years, but still a really well-coached, really good football team. I'm saying all this to say it seems like your schedule has been a thing that's maybe kind of put you through enough of a gauntlet that when you get to this point in the season, you're pretty battle tested.
100%. We believe that if we play a tough schedule, when we get to the other side in the playoffs, we're going to be ready. I believe that we play in one of the best conferences in 3A in the state.
Sure.
And I think the playoffs is showing that. I mean, we got Kinston, Farmville, us. We're all still there. And in our schedule, only one team didn't make the playoffs. So we're playing all teams that made the playoffs. I think we got 5 teams in the third round, if you include us, on our schedule, who are in the third round of the playoffs in their respective divisions. So we play a tough schedule. And I think it's gotten us ready for sure. I mean, everybody we've played is good. And it's like I tell the kids, hey, guys, you've seen the best team you're going to see all year.
Yeah.
You've already played Tarboro. So, I mean,
right.
It only goes downhill from here in terms of competition. Tarboro is just elite, and they're great at what they do. But I think just playing those teams and seeing, okay, well, this team's the best, and I know I can compete with these people. And if I can compete and we put together a good game and play clean, we have a shot with anybody.
Coach, Paul Cornwell did a really good job of sort of, getting football back to where it was, the numbers were healthy again. You guys have nice size roster. I know there's probably some JV guys that are on the playoff ride with you. But as far as that kind of, you're in a growing part of the county, interest in football, winning certainly helps. How's all that going as far as numbers?
The open enrollment thing, we got some, but we don't have a lot. I think it helps our other sports a little bit better. We'll just see how it goes. I mean, Coach Cornwell did an amazing job with the culture, getting it back the way that, he had it. And he brought me in because he wanted to do things a little bit differently on offense. And I guess it's worked out a little bit for him. But so I'm just trying to make sure, I don't sink the ship. That's all I'm trying to do. He's got a good thing, started a good thing, and they entrusted me to keep it going, and that's what we're trying to do. Open enrollment, all that stuff, Pitt County, I think that just says so much about our county. We have 4 teams still in the football playoff.
Yeah.
If you want to go to a good football school, you can go to any one of them. I mean, why would you go here or over there? They're all good. In basketball, they all have their thing. They're good. All the sports. We have 2 volleyball state championship teams in our county. So it's like, man, it doesn't really matter where you go. We have great coaches at every school. We have great athletes at every school. We just want wherever somebody chooses to go, feel like home and be a part of that community.
Yeah, I was going to mention that it has to have been a pretty fun few weeks around that campus with the volleyball team dominating and winning a state championship, and then you guys are in the third round of the playoffs. So that's actually pretty exciting stuff.
100%. I mean, just got to catch lightning in a bottle, and I hope that little state championship fever keeps on running into the other fall sports, and just keep it going. Put it through winter and put it through spring, and just keep it going. But I'll say our administration, we have a new principal this year, and our previous principal, Casey Hyatt, and our current principal, Dr. Kirby Manus, who was an AD for a couple of years at Rose. There, they understand athletics. They love athletics, and they're just going to make sure that we have the resources and things that we need to be successful. And I think that's the key. We have what we need here to be successful as long as we do our job. And I think it just says a lot for our programs and our culture. And we're growing and things are getting better. And we're going to try to continue to ride this train and keep it going.
It's really exciting. What will be some of the things you guys got to do well tonight to advance?
Well, the key is we have to be who we are. We can't go out there and run some type of offense that we're not comfortable with. Number one is, what is our quarterback comfortable with? We're going to do those things. He's going to have a lot of say-so in what we do and how we do it, because if he's not comfortable, none of it's going to work.
Sure.
So our offensive game plan, we're 50-50 balanced team. We run 50%. We throw it about 50%, but we believe in taking what the defense gives us. So we're just going to see how it lines up. James Keenan gives you a lot of different looks on defense, so we're just going to see what we got and then adjust our game plan from there. We have to stop their offense. We know they're going to score, but we have to get them behind the sticks somehow, some way. If we can get them out of that double wing and into the spread, we feel a little bit better about what we got. You just got to man up and play physical.
Yeah.
You got to be physical.
Yeah.
They're going to be physical. Take care of the football. The same old cliches as always. Make explosive plays, limit explosive plays, and win the middle 8. That middle 8 minutes is what really, really matters. And statistics show if you win the middle 8, that last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter, typically those teams win. So that's what our emphasis is on this week.
It's one of those things, too. If you guys rise to the physical occasion and you're hanging in there, especially on the road, things might get a little tight on the other side. So that's always
you're right.
That's always something, too, is when you come in and play disciplined, as I know you guys do, it will be it'll be an interesting game. Hey, good luck. I hope we're able to talk to you again in the coming weeks and talk more about the season ongoing. So best of luck against James Keenan.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure as always.
Thanks, Coach Wingate. Best of luck to you guys. Dr. Garrett Wingate with us here. Aiden Grifton and James Keenan tonight. You are tuned to the Patrick Johnson Show, the Get You to the Weekend and Get You to Pirate Basketball edition here on this playoff third round of the high school football playoffs in North Carolina. Stay tuned. More to come on the program.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, the Get You to the Weekend extended edition of the Patrick Johnson Show wrapping up. Thanks to TJ Long. Thanks to Chris Hughes. Thanks to Coach Garrett Wingate. Good luck to all of our Pitt County schools playing tonight in the third round of the state high school football playoffs. Tomorrow at noon, it is Pirate Game Day Countdown with Pilk and Joey Football. And at 2:30 airtime on the network tomorrow, 3:30 kick, ECU and UTSA in football. Go Pirates in that one. All right, we'll join Darren Vaught coming up here in a few minutes. Pirate basketball is coming your way tonight as ECU will look to go 3-0 at home, welcoming in the high-octane Charleston Southern Buccaneers. Have a great and safe weekend, everybody. I'll be on the call of ESPN Plus at 7, so you can check me out there. And coming up on Monday, hosting Talk of the Town with Tom Lamprecht all 3 days next week. And, of course, we'll have Patrick Johnson Show editions for you, including coming up on Monday evening, 5 o'clock, tiebreakers ahead of Inside Pirate Athletics. All right, go Pirates all the way around this weekend. Have a great and safe one, as we mentioned, and we'll see you on Monday.